All right. So at the time you were introduced to the scene, like what was the status, what was going on, and what initially brought you in to be a DJ and promoter?
Well, the aim was to be a club DJ in Melbourne. I mean, I was a mobile DJ. I was playing all around town, doing like birthdays, 21st, private functions, etc. But the aim was to be a club DJ. Yeah. I mean, you're always trying to excel to be the best that you possibly can. So we started with, like I said, the mobile gigs, etc. And then we started going to nightclubs and we started seeing what the club DJs were like and everything, like the industry, etc. And you excel to become a club DJ. You push for that achievement. So you work hard, you go to the record stores, you buy your records, you practice, you do everything you need to do to get it to that level. I mean, that's the pinnacle of DJing, was be a club DJ in Melbourne back then. It wasn't, festivals or anything else. We didn't have anything of that caliber that I remembered at, the early stages of the 90s. So, yeah.
And like the sounds around then, was this before the peak club culture? And like before then, was it a lot of just underground Melbourne sounds?
Well, electronic music started in the 90s. In the 80s, we didn't have it. It was like electronic bands, which introduced synthesizers and stuff, which brought on the change to, the electronic sound of, the clubbing culture. The records were coming in from overseas.
Yeah.
So as the records were coming, you go to the record store, you buy your records, you listen to a bunch of records, which, you thought were right to play, fit to play. Every DJ had their own sound, whether it was house music or techno music or trance music, and that's when all the records started coming in, like the sound started coming. So every DJ would find their own unique sound, and I play trance or I play house or I'm playing techno, and it'd be a UK European based sound. There was no really Melbourne sound back then. Yeah. There were a couple of DJs experimenting, and a couple of DJs did produce records back then. But yeah, it wasn't a Melbourne thing just then. It was based more European, So a lot of those sounds would come in based from overseas. You'd go record shopping, buy your records, and that was it.
And was this like in the 90s, early 90s?
Yeah, you're talking from early 90s, like 90, 91, 92. The commercial sounds, and then there were other. As you grew as a DJ, you knew that there were other formats of how to get music, and record stores and everything else, like underground record stores, and the clubbing culture. Once you'd go out and you'd listen to the nightclubs, the DJs playing in the nightclubs, you'd think, wow, I like this sound. Where do you get these records from? So you'd go to the record stores and where you could find that music.
And then after this, when did Melbourne's like underground sound start popping up, or like Melbourne bounce? Was it?
Look, the Melbourne bounce is not really my thing. I think the Melbourne bounce pretty much started, I think 2005, 2006, maybe towards 2007, towards that era. The Melbourne bounce started when the next demographic of DJs came in that sort of knew how to use computers, and they'd create their own sound, and that's where it pretty much started. I think there was like 205, 6, 7 and 8. I think a couple of DJs were back then, but by 209, 208 it was pretty strong in Melbourne. So that was the Melbourne bounce from what I remember. But Melbourne's underground scene, I mean, from day one it was underground. It never was a commercial scene. From the early stages of where, as soon as you go to a nightclub, nightclubs weren't commercial. And there were even festivals back then, all the festivals, small events that were underground, because this sound wasn't really top 40. It wasn't catered for the large masses. It was for a unique demographic of people that really liked to party and liked that sound. And being a lot of people from overseas, whether it's the UK or Melbourne, UK or over Europe and everywhere else, when they go clubbing overseas, and they come to Melbourne, they'd want to find those venues where they could enjoy those similar sounds that they used to party to wherever they were from. And that's how, this whole thing came about. It was just promoters, DJs getting their unique sounds and saying, hey, we like this, let's start doing this.
And like, so we were in Melbourne, like, we were early adopters of electronic music.
We were very experimental. Melbourne didn't hold back. I can't speak for Sydney or the other states of Australia, but being Melbourne, we were the forefront of Australia's clubbing scene. We were the forefront to leading music. A lot of DJs in Melbourne were pushing extreme sounds that weren't heard of. And being in the 90s, it was a new thing. So, you know, everyone would go clubbing and hear this underground sound, which was amazing. And it hit home. You felt comfortable. The atmosphere was great. The venues were amazing. You know, the clubs were a new thing. They weren't an old thing. Everything was just starting. So it was predominantly new. And it grew more and more. It took off like wildfire. Everyone was going crazy.
And yeah, like that's what I kind of find really amazing, how it just like took off.
Well, everything starts small.
Yeah.
And as it goes further, it grows on, it gets larger and larger. Yeah. Same with a festival. All festivals start small and they want to grow big. All nightclubs start small. All sounds start small. Everything starts small and eventually will grow. And if you've got something cool and unique, it's only going to get better.
Yeah. And I guess, you know, you might, for an event in the 90s, you might see like a poster, right? Like not very long beforehand. But the main point is you actually had to go out to the club for yourself and discover the music yourself.
You did.
And that's a lot more passion in that.
What we're missing today is that drive, determination, and passion. I mean, look, there was no Instagram, there was no social media platforms at all. There were you'd print cards, flyers, and you go out and hand them out to people. So I'd come up to you and say, hey, here's a pass for next Saturday, come check it out, Mad Party, be there, yeah? And you see the flyer and you go, wow, this looks cool, let's go have a look. And then, you know, you fly bomb. All the stores would have flyers on the ground. There were people bombing cars every week. So, you know, you come out of a club and on the windscreen of your car, you'd have 2-3 flyers for events. And, you know, it was just promoted that way. But to do that groundwork, to want to make your show happen or your club happen, to push that, there was a lot of work involved. I mean, there was walking around doing car drop-offs on car windows from 1 a.m. till 6 a.m. Yeah. Now it was Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Yeah. It wasn't like do a post on Instagram or, you know, put $200 behind it or $1,000 behind it. Let's see if it grows or it gets attention. No, you actually had to go do the work. It wasn't like it is today. Yeah. And it, you know, when your event became successful because of that, it was much more rewarding than I think what it is today. So yeah, the passion and dedication of the promoters back then, even the DJs and everything, obviously being the beginning of Melbourne's clubbing and festival era, I think was probably the pinnacle.
Yeah. And like that passion, I think that really took us like to new heights, and we were able to bring in international DJs. And considering it's Australia, like not many people want to travel to Australia, but the fact that we're able to bring in international talent, amazing. It's like, and is that amazing? Is that why?
Like, well, the sound grew and everyone wanted to hear the music, then everyone wanted to hear the artist. And, you know, starting off in the 90s when DJs would come off, like I remember the Mansion nightclub, which was what a venue, what a nightclub, amazing. They had so many internationals come down and play, like Natural Born Grooves played there, John Digweed played there, Sasha played there, you know, Anthony Papa played there. Like the DJs that were coming were all the internationals. They were the first, I think, to push so many acts. And that's from what I remember. I don't know about many other venues doing that at that extreme. I mean, there were other nightclubs playing international sounds, but bringing out the artists. They were the first. I think that was Mark James and Jason, the guys from Future. And it was incredible. You'd see so many acts. You know, Jeremy Healy, you know, Sister Bliss. You were like, incredible to hear, like, oh my God, I got this record, I'm playing it. And the DJ who's made that record's actually here. It was something new. And everyone wanted to see it. Everyone wanted to be there. Those nights were packed. And it was minimal, but so much more than what it is today because it was raw. It was real. I don't think it was fresh. It was a new buzz. Like it was something out of this world. If you were there, you had to be there to experience it. But it was phenomenal. I remember it like it was yesterday. It was amazing.
Yeah, and that would have been like that. You know, the dedication really more. You have to spend more money and you have to have a lot more passion to go out to buy a CD or a vinyl. But to see that DJ at a club as well, that would be...
Look, yeah. I mean, you to go out and buy the record, you're looking at $18 to $22 for one song, one track.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's... I got this issue with the DJs today that, you know, there's so much music online, but they're only buying like 5 or 6 records a week. At $3 or $2.50 or $3 a record, I'd be buying like $300 worth of music a week. We had to spend so much money back then to keep up with the demand, and you'd work full time. Or after school you'd work, or you do all your extremes measures of income would go onto records because, you know, 5 records would cost you $90, $78, $80, like, you know, and that's only like 15, 20 minutes of music. So, you know, it's a whole different game today, I think. Being a DJ, being a club DJ, being a commercial DJ, being a DJ that produces and plays his own sound. There's all different levels today, but you know, you just got to find what makes you happy and do what you think is best for yourself.
Yeah, and like clubbing now, obviously, it's not booming how it was.
No, definitely not. No, the clubbing scene in Melbourne's dropped off. We're experiencing a lot more, well, I think triple to quadruple the amount of festivals and events.
Yeah.
It's become seasonal now. In winter, a lot of Melbourne clubs struggle because the demand for the international shows and the festivals and the acts, and so much is happening from middle of October all the way to, you know, Easter the following year. It's just it's crazy. I mean, there's 265 shows in 6 months.
Yeah.
You know, we used to have like 40 or 50. Now it's like 5 times the amount, and the festivals and the artists coming and everyone else. So yeah, it's changed. The clubbing scene. Look, to be straight out, when you form an industry, it starts off with the clubs. I mean, as the clubs grew, if you had a very, very busy club, you start building. Let's throw an outdoor event. Let's throw a festival. Let's do something. And there were the OGs and the original promoters of Melbourne that started all this. You know, there was, you know, the Futures and, you know, Future Entertainment, the guys Mark and Jace. You had Richie at Hardware. You had Simon. You had Peter Raff. You had the Gingerbread Man, Jake Agakis and John Harra, and you had so many other promoters as well that were introducing this culture, and they were all mates. You know, Chris and I had Monkey. There were so many people that were starting these events, and, you know, festivals as well as and that. So, you know, as it grew, it became bigger, and yeah, everyone wanted to like make more of it happen. So that's the way cookie crumbles, obviously. Yeah.
Like, yeah, because now in Melbourne we have a big fragmentation of music festivals today, like
Yes.
a very niche boutique.
Very, very diverse sounds, very niche events, very culture driven, and everyone's look, it's a free for all today. That's all I believe. If you think you've got a product and you think you can make it work, you're going to go out and try to make it happen. And you're going to have your top 10, 20, 30 mates follow. And they're all going to bring a mate each. So you're going to have 100, 200 people, and you're going to do a show, and you're going to think, wow, that was great. And let's do it again. And everyone's doing their own thing. And it's fantastic. There's room for everyone. Everyone has freedom of, their ears are free to listen to whatever sounds they want and, go out to whatever they want. They don't have to fall in line with the next person ahead. I mean, the biggest expression of freedom is the dance floor. I've always said that, and I think and I believe more than anything is that everyone has a different understanding of music. Everyone has a different taste. Everyone has a different way of liking their own sound. So you go to what you appreciate and what you like. Yeah. It's plain and simple. If it's not your thing, you don't go. Like, personally, I don't like R&B. I'm not one of those people. So I'm not going to go to an R&B festival. No chance in hell. I don't. It's not for me. So, but there are the R&B heads that like it. Go, good luck to you. Yeah. I'm very Melbourne, very underground-driven music, so, yeah.
Yeah. And it's great. Like, we have such a huge diversity and a lot of, creatively progressive festivals, very niched out. Yeah. And it can cater for a lot of different people, but it's like the entry for barrier to hear these really amazing sounds is a music festival. I feel like it would have been vice versa back in the day. You could go to a club and you could hear the kinds of sounds that are being putting on at festivals.
Yes.
But now you can't really.
Look, you can. You just got to find the promoters that are doing these shows. The problem is that the promoters today want to make money. And our industry, unfortunately, has lost a lot of love. I've got to be careful what I say sometimes. But when it was about passion, things were done on a different level. The DJs today are expensive. They charge. Everyone's got a bit of a chip on their shoulder. You're trying to pull out something really cool and unique. And like I said just before, everyone has a right to choose and do whatever they want. You know what I mean? So if you got this sound that you all of a sudden want to bring to the table and say, I want to do this, go ahead and do it. Find a venue, hire it, get your crew, put on a show and see what happens. But if you want to listen to a specific sound that an artist is playing or you're hearing from overseas, you have to find the promoters that are doing that sound, follow them, and they're the ones that are pulling on these shows. Are they bringing out the right people? I don't know. No one wants to bring an artist to Australia or, start something where they're going to lose money. But every good thing and great thing that event-wise that happens loses money at the start, but eventually does come through. You've got to see the light at the end of the tunnel sometimes, but that's where the promoters had the vision. Today, it's the vision, I don't think it extends that long, unfortunately, but each to their own. That's all I can say,
Yeah. And I guess in the early days, it wasn't it's not as professionally set up as it is today, but you had to take risks.
Of course.
Early on.
It was all risks.
Yeah. So possibly today people don't really want to take as much risk, maybe.
Look, the promoters and the venues that are taking risks are the ones that love what they're doing. They really enjoy pulling on certain DJs. And remember, when the DJ is new and fresh, they're not charging an arm and a leg. So you can get some internationals down $5,000 fee plus your flights and accommodation, and it's doable. You do a $20 ticket, you get your 400 people, you're done. It is doable for a lot of people, but it just depends who's doing what and who's doing what specific genre of sound and demographic, and goes from there onwards. I mean, like I said, you just got to look out for what it is that you want to listen to and go for.
Mm. And now we're very much about, I think it's a trend, high production events now.
Yeah.
I love, I do love when you can these promoters who put a lot of money into these high production events and can create like something really cool and unique. But now it seems that everybody's just used to going to that. And I think...
Yes and no. Yes and no. Look, when people are paying $150 or $200 or $390 for a 4-day event, example, they're going to see where their money's going to. See, you want great. The first thing you want at a festival is amazing sound. Number one is your sound. That's my belief. And I've ran shows and done events, and if your sound's shit, your festival's going to be shit, because that's the number one thing that everyone's there is to hear the music. Second of all is your production. Now, some DJs that depends on the festivals. You know, it's very Melbourne's become very cultured and arts, and you know, there's different people wanting to do certain artistic flair to their design to their shows, and that's all cool. I mean, you want to go to a festival is, seeing different things. People want to go there and enjoy the experience and want to think, wow, that was amazing. From start to finish, from when I walked in and when I left, it was perfect. I had the best fun. You know, there was cool areas, chill out areas. The main stage was amazing. You know, other stages were so cool, and, you know, walking into the venue and walking out, you know, the whole experience is what comes with this massive production. Is it right? Look, some of the main stages are over-exaggerated, but that depends. Are they the commercial festivals or are they the underground festivals? I mean, it depends. A lot of the festivals are all about art today, you know, and there's not much production on the main stage, but there's enough to make it wow. But the production spread around. Instead of the whole main stage, it's around the whole campsite or around the whole festival site, which I think is a lot better than just one big production on the main stage, and the rest of the festival looks a bit, you know, could do with a bit more.
Yeah.
Depends. The promoters, what their budgets are like, you know, what they're trying to achieve, what the experience is about, and what agenda they're pushing. So everything has a different... If you're going to a festival like Ultra Music Festival, it's all main stage, look at this, wow, bang, see you later, yeah? If you're going to a festival like A3 or, you know, Peach or any of those other festivals, it's about the experience of the whole festival. So it depends on where you want to go and what sort of experience you're after.
Yeah. You know, A3 Music Festival, really cool festival, Pitch Music Arts, then we get like a lot of small ones, Ballista, etc. But Future, you guys drew in a lot of people, and it drew in big names.
Yeah.
And it seemed to have significant impact in Melbourne. I was like a baby back then, but I know about it.
Yeah.
I've heard about it. I just wonder, what do we like? Would we prefer that, or do we prefer like a more diverse array of niche festivals?
They're doing those sort of festivals today, but on a bit of a smaller scale. The diverse in sound that these festivals are bringing in is very, very different to what we had back then. See, the first that I remember of the electronic commercial end was like when Future in 2014 or 13, they started with Gangnam Style, Sive, and then they started Pharrell Williams, and then they had Drake and the last one. Like before then, that was when you couldn't get any bigger. Like, what are we going to do next? So they started bringing elite stars out to the festivals. Before then, from early 2000s till 2013, it was nothing but the best electronic acts in the world. Like, you're not going to get those festivals. Will not happen today. They can't happen today. You're talking about 50,000 people. I got told there was one festival with 80,000. I mean, I do believe it, but like, are you kidding? Like, it's unheard of. But, you know, there were different stages, but the best artists of the world were there. If you had the techno stage, you had Richie Hall and Sven Vath, it was crazy. It was crazy. You know, Richie Horton did his Plastic Man show in the marquee, like 8,000 people just on one stage. Above and Beyond had the Trance stage, like 7,500 there. Swedish House Mafia on the main stage.
Yeah.
Like 30,000 there. Like, you know, look at the artists that are coming for these festivals and how big and that it was back then. It's just, everything goes with time. Like I said, just because it was so big back then, it doesn't mean, you know, it can't happen again. But you got to remember, overseas, you go to a venue or something, it's expensive.
Yeah.
But that's 200, 180 euros. It's $300, man.
And they're paying it.
They're paying it.
Well, I guess they have a lot of big international names.
Well, Europe has a fluctuation of people a lot more than what we have here.
Yeah.
But Melbourne's been spoiled as well. The DJ, at the peak of their time, they will be here 4 or 5 years in a row. You know, if you don't see them this year, you're going to see them next year. Because they're hot. What promoter's not going to bring out the artist that's, you know, absolutely killing it at the moment. So, yeah.
It's like we're not at our peak, but we're still rocking. Like we're
peaking at another level.
Yeah.
At a different level. There's a lot more solo shows.
Yeah.
Today. There's a lot more artists doing independent shows. Like instead of having all these artists together on one big stage, you'd see them, you know, 10 shows at the Timber Yard, 10 shows at Picker. You'd see, you know, different, you know, DJs playing at all other venues, different venues. Some of them are doing club shows. Some of them are doing festival shows. Like the big guys are all on festivals. I mean, you do get your Dom Dollars. You do get your Anima. You get, you know, your solo shows. Like Fisher did a solo show a couple of years ago. And so on, like Solomon. And, you know, there are DJs like Wool Store shows. And, you know, instead of everyone being on a festival, they are coming for solo shows as well. So it's different today. It's not everyone on one, but we did have the solo shows back then as well. I remember QBH, we had like Armand Van Buren play the QBH, John Digweed played the QBH, Paul Van Dyke played the QBH, and then we had the stadium shows at High Sense Arena, which were a phenomenal. Festival Hall had massive shows, and you know, Festival Hall was 4,500, 5,000. So they're decent shows for an underground musician to come and play. And he's pulling 5,000 people. Like, that's amazing.
Before we get further down the timeline, I really want to know, like, when Chapel Street was at its peak and I had, I think, more than 74 licensed venues and there were various recoveries operating. Yeah. Can you just tell me, like, give me some stories about back then? Like, what's the craziest shit that might have happened?
That I can't tell you. You're asking a question that's not going to happen. You just put that up, Papa's going to talk. There'll be 1 million views, man. That was
like when, like we know Melbourne likes to party. I know Melbourne likes to party right now.
I should have said that, yeah.
But I know Melbourne really liked to party in the early 2000s when club culture was peaking, when we had more than 70 licensed venues on Chapel Street. There were various recoveries. At this time, I just want to know what the energy was like. What was the standard back then?
Look, in the early 90s, the Melbourne culture was, like I said, it was starting off. There was a lot of experimental with substances, and it was a time where purely amazing. Like, my experience was next level. I've always said that the 90s were amazing. I mean, the electronic scene was growing. Things were happening. Every like, you could open up a club there and open up a bar there and open up something there. And there were like 64 licensed venues between a certain area. And it was a new thing. Like, you know, clubbing was big, and nightclubs would have 4 nights a week, 5 nights a week. They weren't going to have just Friday and Saturday. Like, Thursday night was heaving, Friday was heaving, Saturday was busy, Sunday was busy. And there were recoveries during the day and, you know, events here and there. And It was at the beginning of everything. Recoveries were, people would go out and 6 a.m, the nightclub would shut and they wanted to kick on because they were on another level. And that level was everywhere. Yeah, it was something that was happening. Ecstasy took over.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a new culture. Everyone would go out and everyone would be having it. Well, everyone, majority of the people. I mean, if you're up at 5 a.m. and you're still dancing, obviously you know what I mean. Something is happening. So let's not bullshit. Straight out, it is what it is. So and the recoveries would have kick-ons but people would not go out and just wake up at 6 a.m, shower and head off to these venues as well, because different DJs will be playing, different sounds would be happening, Things were a lot different back then. I mean, there still is bits and pieces happening today, but compared to back then, nowhere near.
Yeah.
Nowhere near. Back then was wall to wall, dripping, sweat, heaving. Everyone had their hands in the air, screaming. There were just events everywhere. And like I said, Melbourne was on a buzz and they wanted to party and they were loving it. Everyone was really, really enjoying themselves. There was no trouble. There was very, very, very minimal issues to deal with. I mean, today it's a whole nother level, I think.
Like, and in the 90s, government restrictions, nothing like they are today.
It was underground. They knew, but they didn't know. I mean, it takes a while for everyone to understand what's going on. I mean, and as you know, what happens in a club stays in the club. Like, you don't want people to know what you were doing on the weekend. And there were some really, really important people. Like, I know of 10 people that used to come to my club that were worth a lot of money. And they didn't want no one to know who they were, what they were doing. They really loved the music. They wanted to come and dance on the dance floor and party and have a great time. And I had nightclub owners of the biggest clubs in Melbourne back then running their nights, but coming to party at my club. And I'm like, what are you doing here? Haven't you got your own night? And he's like, Papa, it's not as good as this though. I'm like, dude, but he goes, we're fine, we're busy, but I like what you're doing here, so I want to come and party here. And that was like blown away by that. It was cool, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'd go there too. Like, my club was running, I'd go to their club and I'd party there for a few hours, you know what I mean? Have a couple of drinks, see all the other artists and stuff. And everyone was everywhere. And there was a bond between everyone. No one was out maliciously to hurt anyone or pinch promoters or do anything on that level. It was a different level. There was more of a respect factor because you really had to work hard to achieve what you had. Today, it's a bit different. You got to work hard, but it's a different level of work hard. So, everything was a lot different back then. Obviously, time evolves, things change, and people grow up, move on, and, there's different fads and different fashions and different trends and different everything. So, and you look at the videos of the 90s where people were clubbing and early 2000s, the biggest thing, there was no phones, for example. Today, everyone wants to capture the moment. Back then, you'd have a little portable camera. A couple of snaps, you guys getting ready, and, a couple of snaps of whatever, and you put the camera in your pocket, if that's what you and your crew were into. And then you develop the film, you got some photos, and it's like, oh my God, remember this. Exactly like a birthday party or something. You'd have a portable camera and capture some snaps. And it didn't take away from the dance floor. It didn't sort of tarnish the night sort of a thing, or create a different energy where people were more focused on the dance floor, the party and everything else, instead of focusing on themselves. And there were no distractions, yeah?
Yeah.
It was real. Let's just say it was raw and it was real.
Yeah, I do get the feeling a lot of the time when I go out now, I'm like, yeah, you don't actually want to be here. That's the feel I get a bit. I'm not trying to
Oh, man.
I'm not trying to make a general sweeping statement. It's just
a lot of people are there for themselves today. Yeah, is it right? Is it wrong? Like I said, each to their own. We're not ones to judge. If that's what you want to do, then you do. But look, I'll be honest. If you go to a real proper event, there's not many people holding their phones. This whole phone thing's blown out of proportion. It's only happening at the commercial events, and it's only happening at the big events. You go to an underground party in Melbourne, there's no phones. You know what, in their pockets, or they might film for a couple of, but there's not like the whole dance floor's like that. No, that doesn't happen. I've seen it with my own eyes. Every gig that I've played at, like for example, I'll give you my end, one or two moments where someone's capturing a bit of, capturing the moment for a short period of time. But I don't give them that chance. I'll make sure you're on the dance floor, you're going. You got no time to grab your phone. Yeah, like that's what we're trying to. And there is a lot of that happening. There's a lot of DJs. But remember, everyone wants to look at me, I'm here, I'm there. It does happen. It's just part of the parcel, man. Like, deal with it. But real good DJs that are really smashing it and rocking it, you won't have time to grab your phone.
Yeah.
You're enjoying the moment too much, yeah? And I believe that wholeheartedly.
How did you like A3 playing in that warehouse? What was that like?
Amazing. I love the big stage. I love playing to a lot of people. For me, it was the first ever in the history that I've been DJing for 30 years plus. I played my first ever producer set. So all the records that I played were made and produced by myself and my partner. And it was a buzz. To have thousands of people screaming and rocking to a sound that you've made yourself, it was next level. And I was actually like very, very, very blown away. First of all, the whole festival was amazing. Second of all, to have the appreciation from that crowd, it was really, I knew back then, like, all right, we're onto something here. This is good. So, yeah, it was amazing. Flawless. I was very, very happy with everything. Let's just say that.
Yeah. And like when you blew up, like you took a bit of a break and then you did your pitch set.
Yeah.
And that's when like I feel like you reinstated your name.
Okay. So this is where everyone gets the wrong thing about me.
Okay.
I didn't take a break. I played for myself. I run my own events. I do my own shows. I've been doing it since '94. I've been around a long time, and yeah, I ran all my clubs, all the events that I've ran are all basically in the trance scene. Now, Daniel called me from pitch and said to me back then, he goes, listen, I want you to do an old school trance set. And I'm like, are these kids going to know what the fuck is going to happen or not? And he's like, just do it, Papa. I'm like, dude, are you sure it's going to work? And he's like, yeah. So look, we went ahead with it. It blew up. Obviously, I'm very good at what I do. And it was just something new for all these kids to see. So all it was me playing from one section of people to another section of people. That's all it was. It was a shift in demographic. Yeah. And yeah, from then it just went bang. So all these new kids and all this new, all these new crowd that knew me but didn't know me, heard about me, but whatever, actually got to see me perform. But they saw me perform something that I actually hadn't done in 15 years. Yeah. So those records that I played that set, I hadn't played them in a long, long time. But if you hear the recording that's on my SoundCloud, you'll see the first half an hour is a bit, some mixing can just be tightened. But after 45 minutes, when I'm in rhythm, and I remember like I just said, yeah, I could have gone 4 or 5 hours that night. I think I would have. It's just different. Things happen sometimes. I mean, sometimes you play a really, really good set and you blow up. I've done a lot of these. Every now and again, Papa just comes back and smashes it and everyone's, and then, you go quiet for a bit. So it is what it is, I guess.
And I guess it's a trend in the world, but in Melbourne as well, DJs producing their own music.
Yes.
That's synonymous with getting into the scene now.
Yeah, it is. It is. See, you wanna be at a level that no one else can get to. So if you're getting your music online, everyone else can. If you're DJing a specific genre, it's only a matter of time till other DJs are playing your genre or your sound. So the best way to define yourself as an artist today is to actually have your own sound. And after the whole pitch situation, I found that I'll be honest, I wanted to sort of like walk away. I had enough. I said, there's nothing more for me to achieve. Like, I don't really want to play old school trance anymore. Look, the first 5-6 shows were amazing. But after a while, I'm like, dude, I'm over it. Yeah, like, this is not going to happen. I don't care what you do, what you say. I knock back a lot of shows. But if it came to playing, I wanted to do my own thing. And that's the level that everyone else is trying to do. So everyone's like making remixes or making their own records from scratch. And I'm very lucky to have my partner that I work with. We're rock solid. And him and me, we've been building what we call the Papa sound. And yeah, it's something new and I love it. It's amazing. And yeah, no one can sort of like replicate, or they can, but they're going to have to make it. Like, my records are mine. They're like, and every other DJ's doing the same thing. Every other DJ's building their own sound. They want to play their own music. So, you know, it's a great thing, but it's hard work because you're fighting DJs that everyone knows their music, fighting to yours that no one knows what music is coming next. So 2 different levels. It's very, very hard. In other words, we're going from underground clubbing to real underground raw. It's another level. So it's tough. It's not easy, but yeah, if that's what you really, really want to do, then you go do it. And eventually, if it pops, you're lucky.
And it's cool because I feel like you're getting a more individualistic perception of what the DJ actually wants to show you.
Yeah.
I find it very cool. But also,
well, look, all the biggest DJs in the world are making their own music.
Yeah.
They're all playing their own music. So if you want to head up to that caliber of artistry, then you got to start doing that as well. And it's not easy. It's very hard. It's very time consuming. It's just a passion that you really, really got to have for music. It's something within you. If it's not, it will show. But yeah.
Yeah. So COVID, that was a turning point in the industry.
Yeah, very big.
What are the key differences, and what are these differences like? Are they still lasting in our industry now? Like, is it still traveling? I think
the whole COVID thing's long gone. I think Melbourne was very quick to get over the COVID buzz, financially with the venues and financially with, the suppliers and everything else, and the venues, and, whoever was working in the music industry and whoever was working in the clubbing industry and the festival industry, it affected you because that was your bread and butter. And we were the last ones to operate. Everyone else opened, unless you had a rooftop or open space, you could. Unless you were outdoor, you could. But actually venues and club DJs and stuff, we didn't open till last, and it affected us. But as for the clubbing people, Melbourne blew up that big after COVID. Everyone did. Everyone was just locked down for 1.5 years, 2 years almost. So they were exploiting to go out and have fun. Everyone was, from what I know, everyone was getting paid to stay home. So you couldn't really go anywhere or do anything. So there's a lot more money in the people going out, from what I remembered. People would pay to go out. Tickets would sell out in a heartbeat. I remember doing sold out shows as soon as COVID finished everywhere. Everything was sold out. I'm like, the hell's going on, man? But it was crazy. I mean, all right, the buzz of the DJ and everything else, yeah, cool. But everyone was roaring to go out. Before COVID, things were a bit stale. We're talking about pre-COVID. So a lot of the things, I think Melbourne was just, it reached a level of like the pinnacle of where it could get to. And everything else had to be reborn, rejuvenated. So, you know, the commercial sounds and everything has a time. You're not going to be number one for 20 years unless you're extreme and so hard working at what you do. Festivals have a timeline. After 10 years or 5 years, you know, first 5 years you're building, you have your 3 years of peak, and then the last two, you know, it's like, oh, what are we doing again? What are we doing again? And people start other festivals and other things build. So, you know, as everything goes up, it eventually comes down. And, you know, the whole American market coming into play after 2010, 11, and 12, I mean, Vegas blew up, beach parties blew up. You know, the whole American music industry towards electronic music went through the roof. Now they're offering DJs $1 million that we were offering them 200 grand.
Yeah.
So, you know, you're a DJ like, for example, we'll say Armin van Buuren. It was on 250,000 a show. All of a sudden, he's getting $1 million to play in Vegas. Yeah, Australia, I'll see you next year. Wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Well, you know, and so they really hurt our festivals. They hurt everything. It was very expensive to get artists. You know what I mean? I remember ticket prices for a festival were $180, and people were complaining, oh, $180. And I'm like, mate, you're lucky they're not $250. You're really lucky that these promoters aren't pushing $250 a ticket. Yeah. Because I know what the prices were. It affected what we were doing as well. You know, DJs were like $5 grand to 10 grand. Now they're like 15 to 20 for a club show. And it's like, really? So, well, that's what we're getting in Vegas. That's what we're getting in America. And the agents are telling this, and, you know, everything just went double the price almost. So, you know, yeah, we sort of reached the peak, and I think all the artists were done, and the sound was all pretty much finished. I mean, if you go for a massive electronic music commercial today, I mean, they do. They've got Ultra, which is predominantly commercial. Your Axwells, your Martin Garrix, and all that sort of stuff, and that's all cool. But you know, I don't think Melbourne's got room for more of that. I don't believe that. You know what I mean? But maybe it does. I don't know. Who am I to say? I mean, everything has its ups and everything has its downs, obviously. So,
you know, for the population we have and where we're put in the world, we've done really fucking well. Like,
oh, look, we've been world class for many, many, many years. We're just so far away from the rest of the world that everyone thinks that Australia's a holiday. But when they actually come here and they see what we've done, look, man, in the 90s, the UK and us and Europe were the only ones doing cracker shows, like really good, you know, festivals and stuff, early 2000s. Like our festival in 2005, we had two of our nightclubs were in the top 10 best clubs in the world. And I think 2 of our festivals were in the top 10 best festivals in the world.
Yeah.
Now, to have 2 of each in the top 10, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. It says something louder than everyone else. But yeah, you know, you go spend $5 million and put the best sound and lights in your venue, you're going to have a real good club. And that's what I reckon Melbourne needs more of. I think, you know, some of our venues need a full overhaul of, you know, let's make them where people want to go to. I mean, there's a lack of everything in the clubs today, and there's a lack of passion and spending. Everyone's money driven. It's not passion driven for the industry, but it's very hard to sustain when you're not making money. So you need to make money to put that passion back in, and it's a catch-22 situation. So everyone's doing the best they can. Hopefully, it's all I can say.
This type of passion, right? that Melbourne had that got, you know, 2 festivals into the top 10 and 2 clubs into the top 10. Is that, I know, like obviously right now we know we love our electronic music, but what I'm getting at is that same passion in Melbourne still prolonging, or is it changed, or is it?
Club-wise, definitely not.
Yeah.
We know that. I mean, this is the first time I've been to her bar and music room where we're in right now. What a great little venue. I mean, great concept, amazing. And there's a lot of these smaller venues popping up with amazing ideas. Like, this is pretty cool. Like, I've never been in here before, but it's tiny, but it's amazing. Yeah, and downstairs the bars are crazy. The club-wise, no. The festival-wise, yes. Look, like I said, depends on your budget. No festival wants to lose money because then they can't come back the following year. Artists are very expensive. The cost of building a festival is expensive. Everything's just gone through the roof. Expenses are what kills us today, you know? And building a festival, finding a site, security fees, everything, suppliers, security, your vendors, your production, your sound, your lights, your operations, everything. After COVID, and you've seen that all the prices went up.
Do we have the same passion that drove 2 music festivals in the top 10, 2 clubs in the top 10? Obviously, clubbing's not the same.
The club, like I said before, the club side, yes. No, club side, no. But like I said, there's a lot of different venues. I don't think the clubbing population is there anymore because of so many events in summer. But the event side, yes, it's blown up. Like, the passion's still there for the festivals. You know, you go to Pitch, you get blown away. Mm. You go to A3, you get blown away. You go to like these one-off shows like the Dom Dollars shows and the Anima with the LED. And then you had Eric Prydz at Melbourne Park. Like, the shows are coming. They're what production specs have to be. But as for the arts and cultural festivals of Melbourne, which that's where it predominantly is, it's all about, you know, being cool and these. Yeah. Everyone's got their own agenda nowadays. It's very different. So, and you got to make every single one of these people feel comfortable today. Yeah. So, and that's a good thing. It's a very positive and great energy to pull out there. So, like I said, instead of having the festivals all on one main stage, it's split around the whole campsites or festival sites or whatever site it is. And I think that's, the passion is there most definitely. Running a festival is very, very different to running a nightclub, yeah? The passion you need to have to put into a festival, it's 8 months of work. Running a nightclub, it's 2 hours of work. Mm. It's very, very different. So different scales, but yeah, it's just like I said before, everything's become so expensive that it is really, really, really hard to say that we're at our peak anymore or we're thriving. Event-wise, amazing, but like I said, there's a lot more events, and when the events are busy, some of the clubs aren't going to be so busy. So there's no, you know, big club nights in Melbourne anymore. Every nightclub today has 4 different genres, and there's not one room with 1,500 people rocking anymore. It hasn't happened in over 10 years. Mm. I think my club was the last club in Melbourne to have done that. Yeah. And was magic. And yeah, ever since I shut that night, I don't think there's been anything apart from maybe R&B or something, but good luck to them anyway.
Then that would have been amazing, just to be able to, you know, get a train, 30 minutes, 1,000 people in a room.
Rocking.
Dancing.
From 11 till 7 in the morning.
Yeah.
No questions asked.
And that would have been amazing.
Well, that's what I did for so many years. Mm. So I look at everything now and I think to myself, well, if that's the best you got, go luck there. Mm. Like, you know, I came from a different era. You can't understand what I did, what we had and what I've done and everything. It's just a period in time which ain't going to happen again. But I thank God every day for that I was around in that time. You know, you're part of the original crew that started, like, even as a punter in 93, 94, I was underage, man. I was going to all these places. And I remember them, like, I remember the promoters. I remember even the door person used to wear outfits. It was about costumes and outfits and wow factors in a fucking club. Like, you walk in, people on stilts and costumes and, you know, drag queens and, you know, oh, what the fuck is this? Amazing. Today, it's not there.
Yeah.
You know, you got your little bum bag and your shoes and your festivals and your, like, whatever, man. Yeah, good luck there. I mean, it's totally different. People used to wear outfits and costumes. There was creativity, artistic flair. Today, no, you don't get that today.
Yeah.
I'm going to leave it at that.
All right. Yeah. I think, we're in obviously a transitional period. Pros and cons to it. I think the positives that I see, we have a lot of niche festivals that are very detail and creatively orientated.
Yeah.
That offer their own artistic agendas within electronic music, which I think is pretty cool. But, you know, it is fragmentating the market. You know, we're not getting the same numbers at one festival.
You never will. You never will. It's so expensive. If you're going to do a festival that's going to have 40,000, 50,000 today, the ticket will be $400 for the day because the artists are that expensive.
Yeah.
So if you want to go, you're going to go. But remember, there's that big risk where the people aren't going to come and you're going to lose a shitload of money. So are you prepared to take the risk and show everyone what a real festival's about? Or are you happy to stay where you are, make your money and shut your mouth?
Yeah.
It's a very fine line between certain, you know, going to the next level or not is making money or losing money. And I'll be honest, I don't blame the promoters because if you're going to drop $1 million, why are you even doing the show for? I mean, you drop 100 or two, you think, okay, fair enough. As a promoter, you've got that money, festival-wise. You can afford to take a hit and go up and down because you've made shitloads. You made your money the year before. You lose it the year after. Win, lose, win, lose. It's part of the nature of the game. You always want to win, but sometimes you can lose because you've created something different. You pull another stage in, or you're going to start branding. For example, everyone, there's a new sound. Let's get these 3 DJs start another stage. You know, in 2 years' time, that sound will be massive. And you spend, you know, a couple $100,000 on that sound, making sure and pushing that agenda, that sound, and it doesn't eventuate. It's like, fuck, I've just dropped, you know, 300 grand the last 3 years on that. But unless you give it a go, you don't know. And that's the part and parcel of being a promoter and being a festival promoter and picking the right, because then you got agents around the world that are telling you, hey, you know, take this guy here. I know you got, you know, you're taking this person, but take this person too. He's coming up. He's going to be a gun. I promise in 2 years' time, he's playing here, there, overseas. And you spend your money on it. It eventually doesn't grow. It's a whole risk and a gamble to be involved on that level. And hand on heart, no bullshit. I take my hat off to the biggest promoters and the ones that are really giving it a go, because I've been there, I've done it, I know how hard it is, and the anxiety and the heart palpitations that you have leading into that festival, man, congratulations, you're putting on what Melbourne needs, and I take my hat off to them. I couldn't do it. No, my days of that is done. But yeah, it's very, very, very hard. It's very hard to know that you could make $1 million or drop $1 million in 6 months. So would you take the risk? You know what I mean? It's a question. Remember, it's your money.
Yeah.
You got $1 million, you're putting it on the line. Is it going to work or not? If it doesn't, you've lost it. Bad luck. You can't get it back.
Yeah.
Because you got to pay everyone.
So you don't want to get in the black books with people either.
Well, there are a few festivals that have done that. And look, it's very sad because Melbourne's becoming Look, man, the last couple of festivals that have dropped off, a lot of people weren't paid, but a lot of the crowd today are like, oh, well, stuff it, we can get paid. They've just run off with your money. Okay? Yeah, I feel sorry for the promoter, but at the same time, I feel sorry for the punter. So there's a level of understanding that everyone's like, yeah, it happens nowadays. It shouldn't happen. And it's not good. Let's just hope it doesn't keep happening. And I hope that, it doesn't happen again with a lot of people, because Melbourne does need more shows. We are a clubbing and festival thriving community. I want nothing more but the electronic scene to grow in all fashions and genres. Fred again came, like all these shows and, all these artists coming out and Melbourne DJs and producers from Melbourne growing and pushing their sounds. I want nothing more for us to excel and achieve more than everyone else. We got the best rocking population in the world. If you think that you're going to go overseas and rock harder than what you're going to rock in Melbourne, take it from Papa, mate. You're going nowhere. Melbourne rocks harder than any other fucking country in the world. And they know it. They know it. The crowds in Melbourne are the best. And I've been around the world and I've seen it. We're up there, man. We're number one by a mile.
Yeah.
And Melbourne sound has taken on the world. Our DJs are taking on the world, and we gotta back our promoters. We need to back our DJs. Our industry needs to back itself, and we need to stick together to make sure it grows.
I think that really sums us up. I think
if you're happy, I'm happy.
I'm happy. That's a good ending, if you ask me. Yeah. But thank you. That was good. Thank you.